Dude, so one of the things that I do, I'm a trustee at a public university in Florida, New College of Florida. Governor DeSantis appointed me and a number of other reformers to take over this university, replace all of the leadership, and then turn it into a classical liberal arts university. It's in Sarasota. It's a beautiful campus. The tuition is less than $7,000. And we want to turn it into a place where conservative families can send their kids and feel like they're getting a good education. But when we did this, what we did is we came in, we replaced the leadership, we abolished the DEI department, we terminated the gender studies program, and then we said, we're not going to comply with these ridiculous pronoun rules. And so the old DEI director and then her allies at the ACLU and elsewhere actually filed a federal civil rights complaint against me. So I'm currently under investigation by by federal civil rights bureaucrats for refusing to call this woman by ze/zer pronouns. Ze/zer. Not, okay, trans, okay, man, woman, okay, whatever. Ze/zer. And it's like,
But either way, federal indictment, imagine, for even just refusing to call this person he, her. People have always been rude. Are we going to, legislate against rudeness? Are we going to say that, if someone decides to call me Mrs. Rogan, can I get them arrested and locked in a cage because they're being rude to me because they're calling me a girl?
If you are a member of a protected class, yes, that's where it's going. That's where they'd like it to go. And look, I have to spin up lawyers. Thankfully, the university is handling it. But I mean, this is not trivial. And what Peterson, Jordan Peterson, great. What he brought up illustrates this point. If they can get you to lie about something trivial, they can get you to lie about anything. Mm-hmm. It's a simple sales technique. You get people in the door, you get them to buy some small item, you get them to kind of cash up, and then you work them up the chain to a bigger purchase or a bigger commitment or a bigger ideology. It's how cults work.
Yeah.
And so, I learned this as a kid. My father's Italian from Italy, and we went to Rome, to the Vatican. The sales guy. It's like everything about sales and persuasion I learned at 10 years old, watching this guy. He came up, he said, sir, it's a beautiful day. I had a new grandchild that was born. Let me give you this beautiful St. Christopher medal or St. Joseph medal to celebrate this. And as soon as you take it, you're hooked because he's going to sell you the commemorative Vatican coins for $100 or whatever. And so this is the ante. Once you put in the ante, you're playing the hand. And so this stuff is it's rage bait for the right. It drives headlines. It drives outrage. It drives, some kind of momentum.
Ratings.
But what it's not driving, unfortunately, is a substantive pushback, legal, administrative, policy, and as far as kind of deeper cultural changes. But I'm very concerned because these are just these gambits where they make. And once they stick, then you're in. It's very hard to roll back. Look at the military. You have all of these, men masquerading as women that are now suddenly elevated in the military hierarchy. This is not trivial. We're the most powerful military in the world. We maintain, kind of international peace. Yeah. And it's like now the highest concern is trans? No. I don't think that this is how we should be making decisions. And I don't think that we should be submitting to the original lie. You should never submit to the original lie because if you do, you can never successfully push back again.
It's certainly odd that they're pushing that. This is where I get so confused. Because if I really want to go full tinfoil hat conspiracy, I would say, well, if I was a foreign country, I would be promoting this as much as possible in any way I could. I would be funding organizations to do things that would destroy cities. I would be funding universities to continue insane policies. I'd be teaching them the kind of things that they taught people where that woman, do you remember, you saw that woman who talked to Josh Hawley and he was asking, I think it was can men get their periods? And she is actually laughing. I just want to point out what you're saying is transphobic and opens up trans people to violence. Like what?
I think she was a Stanford law professor.
She was somewhere.
Yeah.
Might have been Berkeley.
Yeah.
But it was whatever it was. It was like, what did you just say? What did you just say? And why did you say it that way? You think you're so accustomed to being in your bubble that you don't recognize how gross it is when you giggle before you say something. Yeah. I just want to point out what you're saying is transphobic and opens up trans people to violence. Like some men can have periods.
But this is the dominant culture in HR departments, K through 12 schools, universities, government bureaucracies.
Yeah.
That is the social game that has been established. And so, when we took over New College of Florida, it was the most left-leaning university. It's basically it was the evergreen state of Florida. It was the student population was more than 50% trans, queer, and non-binary.
More than 50%.
More than 50%.
What is the odds of that in terms of like the normal account when they do? If they get a random group of 100 human beings, in
there's
the
a bit of a
country.
disparity there, especially because like non-binary is fake. It's not a thing.
Right.
It just doesn't exist.
You can be non-binary.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I am.
You can be. You can just say it. You just say it. I knew a dude who used to say it. He used to date only girls.
That was his strategy.
Yeah, it's like a con. It's a con. You're part of the
male feminist.
You're
basically.
LGBT. Yeah, exactly. It's a little cuttlefish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like it's a strategy.
100%.
And it works maybe at the initial, but there are negative consequences.
Yeah, there's flaws.
Yeah.
There's flaws. And then once women figure out what you're doing, they don't respect you anymore.
But what happens, so we go to the university and, we're the new bosses. The governor gives us a mandate to do significant changes and reforms. And I remember I took some of my guys. We kind of landed on campus the first time. Student protests, death threats, SWAT team mobilized to protect us. And I remember meeting with the old administrators, and walking in and these are people that are just wagging their finger in my face rather. They're saying, "Oh, you can't do this. You're opening up the community to violence. You're this, blah, blah. You can't host a talk on campus because all the same stuff you're talking about." And then I think, like, all of you are about to get fired. Do you not understand the situation that you're in? Your finger wagging is not going to work anymore. The governor is tough as nails. He told us before we took over, if you're not driving massive negative headlines, if you're not getting flack, you're not doing your job. I'll back you up 100%. Go in and make the change. But what I realize in that moment is that the people who have created little nests of power with this ideology have never been challenged. No one in a meeting says, actually, this is a stupid idea.
Right.
We should get back to business. And so for me, it was this remarkable realization that we've created this social and psychological pattern within our institutions where they're like fragile, brittle, unhinged, because the most passive-aggressive, the most ideological, the most kind of nagging person ends up winning. And if we're going to have better institutions, we have to have people, men and women, that go in and just say, no more bullshit, no more games, no more ideology. We have a serious job to do. We're going to get it done. And if you don't join the mission, you're out. Pink slip, And so that's kind of what we did. You saw the same thing at Twitter when Elon took over Twitter. These are the hard decisions that we haven't made in a long time that I think are desperately needed.